Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Chaitanya Caritāmrta audio class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So we are discussing from Chaitanya Charitāmrta, Ādī-Līlā. We are in chapter 7. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, and he is describing the various aspects of the Lord. He described how Krishna is the supreme Purusha, and he manifested in 5 forms: Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. And he described all these tattvas. And then he described how Krishna, when he was in the spiritual world, he came as Panchatattva, thinking that he will drown the entire world in this love of God. Sai Panchatattva mili prithvi asiya purve prema bhandarera mudra ughadiya. So they broke the seal of prema and they distributed to everyone. So they are tasting themselves and they are distributing to everyone. And we saw that Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, had a plan to drown the entire world. But few were running away. Mayavadi Karmanishta Kutarkikagan Nindaka Pashandiyata Paduya Adham. All these people, they were trying to evade the mercy. So Mahaprabhu devised a trick and he accepted sannyas. And he transformed everyone except one class. Who were they? They were Mayavadis. So after taking sannyas, Mahaprabhu, he went to Vrindavan, and on the way, he reached Varanasi, and there he heard so many Mayavadis criticizing him. Oh, he is a young sannyasi. He does not know the Vedanta and he is just chanting and dancing. Mahaprabhu, he didn't take notice. He didn't even feel bad. He just went to Mathura, Vrindavan, spent 1 month in Vrindavan and came back. On the way back, he again came to Varanasi. And that time we heard that Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra. So Mahaprabhu was staying at the home of Chandrasekhar and taking prasad at the place of Tapan Mishra. So both were very sad because they were hearing the blasphemy of Mahaprabhu every day. So they fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu and they were telling, oh, we cannot tolerate hearing your criticism, please do something. So as they were doing this, a Brahmana came and fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu and extended his invitation. He said, oh, I have come with an invitation. I know that you don't mix with all these sannyasis, but please accept my invitation this time. So we discussed till 56 verse. So Mahaprabhu smiled. He accepted the invitation because he actually wanted to deliver all these Mayavadis. And he actually inspired this Brahmana to come and extend his invitation. Because that was the purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming to Varanasi. So it was the inspiration of the Lord. Maharaurav haite korile tomara uddhar kripar samudra Krishna gambhir apar. So Mahaprabhu wants to deliver everyone. That is the only thing which is in the mind of the Supreme Lord. How to bring each and every living entity back to the spiritual world. And for that, Mahaprabhu is thinking, he's, always contemplating, Gambhir. So next day, Mahaprabhu, he went to the home of this Brahmana and he saw that all the sannyasis, they were there. So as soon as Mahaprabhu entered, he offered obeisances to all of them. And then he went to the place where, everybody would wash their feet. And after washing his feet, he sat down at the same place. So generally in the Vedic tradition, a sannyasi doesn't wear any slippers. So whenever they enter a house or somebody's place, so they wash their feet. So there is a place which is designated to wash the feet. So Mahaprabhu, he is showing by his personal example. When he entered this house, he saw all the sannyasis, he offered his obeisances. That is the etiquette of a devotee. He is very humble. Trinadapi Sunichena, he is very humble. Humility attracts everyone actually. So Mahaprabhu, he very cleverly, he exhibited his humbleness very clearly, and he actually wanted to transform them. He wanted to attract them by his humility. That's why he first offered his obeisances. As soon as he sat, he did something amazing. All these Mayavadis, they are always into Brahman or in Jyoti and light and all that. And Mahaprabhu knew that. So what he did? Basiya korila kichu Aishwarya Prakash Mahatejo May Vapu Koti Surya Bhas. Basiya korila. As soon as he sat, Mahaprabhu, he used his mystic power and exhibited his Brahman effulgence. Because who is Mahaprabhu? Who is Krishna? He is the source of Brahman, the supreme object of worship of all the Brahmavad, all the Mayavadis. Basiya Korila Kichu Aishwarya Prakash. So Mahaprabhu, he exhibited his mystic power. He started spreading his effulgence. Mahatejomay Vapu, and his body became very, very effulgent. Koti Suryavas, as if millions of suns had gathered there. What is this millions of suns in compared to Brahman? Krishna is the source of everything. So what is this millions of suns? It's insignificant. So just to attract these Mayavadis, he exhibited just a spark of his splendor. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Yadi yadi vibhuti mat sattvam shrimad urjitam evava tattad evavagachatvam mama tejo amsha sambhavam. It is all my amsha. It is a spark of my splendor. So as soon as all these Mayavadis, they saw the brilliant illumination coming from this young, beautiful looking sannyasi, they all immediately stood up and folded their hands in respect. Prabhave akarshila sab sannyasi raman, uthila sannyasi sab chhadiya asan. Prabhave akarshila. This illumination attracted the mind of all these Mayavadis, all these sannyasis. Immediately they got up from their seat and stood there in respect. So Prabhupada writes, sometimes, to draw the attention of common people or foolish people, sometimes saintly people, they exhibit extraordinary opulences. An acharya, a teacher, Sometimes they exhibit their super, natural powers. Then Prabhupada, it's actually the saintly person, although he may be very, very powerful, they should not misuse their power to show the world and prove themselves as God. Because when you become devotee of the Lord, you naturally get powers. If ordinary mystic yogis, they are so powerful, what to speak of? If you are a devotee of the Lord, if Krishna wants, a devotee of the Lord can be all powerful. But a devotee never misuses his power. He never tells his followers, I am God. There was one very, very powerful person and people were calling him as God. And, one person, he asked him, are you actually God? So this person had lots of mystic power. He would produce ash, or he would produce some gold, or some object, and he would give to his followers. So somebody asked, are you God? He said, no, I am not God. So then this person said, then why all your disciples, your followers, they are telling you God and you're not telling them anything? He said, oh, I don't want to break their faith. That's how, people are. They have some mystic powers and they want to prove that they are God. But Prabhupada writes, it is most sinful activity to portray yourself as God. If you have some mystic powers and you are using that mystic power to prove that you are God, Prabhupada said, you are not God, you are dog. So devotees, whatever powers, whatever opulences they have, they use it in service of Lord. That is their only aspiration. Whatever I have, oh my Lord, I'll use it in service of you. And a devotee never takes any credit. Krishna wants to give all the credit to his devotees. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachi. Oh Arjuna, even if you don't kill them, all these Kaurava warriors are going to be destroyed. So better you take the credit, you kill them. That is the Adbhut Karmana of Krishna. Krishna is Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. He is the most beautiful. He is the abode of beauty, and the most beautiful aspect of his personality is he likes to give credit to his devotees. So it is a reciprocal, a relationship between Krishna and the devotee. Devotee wants to give all credit to Krishna, and Krishna wants to give all credit to his devotees. That is a sweet relationship between the Lord and the devotees. Devotees never take any credit. How can they take credit? Because whatever servant does, he is doing on behalf of the spiritual master or master. How can he take any credit? Nothing belongs to me, everything for Krishna. And Krishna is so very obliged towards his devotees. He is telling to 4 Kumaras, it comes in 3rd canto, whatever power I have received that power because I am taking dust of my devotees' feet on my head. Na Shri Viraktim Apimam Vijahati Yasya Preksha Lavartha Itare Niyaman Vahanti. I do not aspire for Lakshmi Devi, but because I am taking dust of the devotees' feet on my head, that's why Lakshmi Devi is not leaving me. Na Shri Virakti, Shri is not leaving me. That is how Lord is so very grateful towards his devotees. He's always thinking, because I am taking dust of my devotees' feet on my head, I have become so powerful. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitra renum sadyah shatakhil malam pratilabda shilam na Shri Viraktim Apimam Vijahati Yasya Preksha Lavartha Itare Niyaman Vahanti. So Lord likes to give all credit to his devotees, and devotee never takes any credit for himself. That is what we should always do. Whenever some glorification comes, whenever we are able to do something very, very powerful and wonderful, give all credit to the devotees and Parampara and the Supreme Lord. Nothing for me, everything for Krishna. Who am I? I'm just an insignificant part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore, when Mahaprabhu, he exhibited his effulgence, everybody, all the sannyasis, they were attracted. Their minds were attracted to the effulgence of this sannyasi. There was a leader of all these sannyasis. He was known as Prakashananda Saraswati. He personally got up and he went to the place where Mahaprabhu was sitting. He caught hold of the hand of Mahaprabhu and with great respect, he said, "Oh sannyasi, oh my lord," he said, "Oh respectable sannyasi, please come here, please come here, please don't sit, your holiness." He's giving all the respect. "Why are you sitting in that dirty place? Are you having any lamentation?" So he was thinking, oh, people, the sannyasi is behaving in such a, wrong way. That means he's not in good mindset. I think he's lamenting about something. That's why he's behaving in this way. Prabhupada writes, actually, this is how Prakashananda Saraswati, he developed some Agyata Sukriti. Because he gave Mahaprabhu a good seat. He wanted to serve Mahaprabhu. That was the Agyata Sukriti. There are three types of Sukriti. Bhogonmukhi Sukriti, Mokshonmukhi Sukriti, Bhaktionmukhi Sukriti. If somebody does pious activities in the past life and normal pious activities, those pious activities, they impel one to enjoy more and more material sense gratification. That is called as Bhogonmukhi Sukriti. If somebody has performed some yoga in the past life, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, their inclination for liberation is increased. That's called as Mokshonmukhi Sukriti. And if somebody gets a chance to serve devotees or associate with devotees or even appreciate any of the limbs of devotional service, even unconsciously, that is called as Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. So here, Prakashananda Saraswati, he is, developing some Agyata Sukriti. And if this Sukriti is done unknowingly, it is called as Agyata Sukriti. So Prakashananda Saraswati, he is giving all the respect to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's how he is developing Agyat Sukriti. So Prakashananda Saraswati thought that, oh, this sannyasi must be aggrieved for some reason. That's why he's behaving in this way. So Mahaprabhu, then he replies. Because he asked, oh, what is the reason of your behavior? Why are you sitting in such a dirty place? Lord replied, actually, I belong to a lower order of sannyas. I am from a Keshav Bharati sannyas. And we have discussed earlier, even in Mayavadi sannyasis, the Bharati Sampradaya, there are 10 varieties of sannyas. And Saraswati is the highest. And Bharati is one of the lowest. So Mahaprabhu tells out of his humility, oh, I don't deserve to sit with all of you. I belong to a lower order of sannyas. Prabhupada writes, actually, these Mayavadi sannyasis, they always misinterpret the scriptures. They do all the word jugglery, and they think that by doing all this word jugglery, we can approach Brahman. But he writes that what to speak of others, Shankaracharya himself has warned all his followers. Nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karne samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karne. Oh, all this word jugglery will not help you at the time of death. Please take shelter of Govinda. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Mudhamate, Samprapte, Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati, Dukrin Karne. Dukrin means adding suffix and prefix. So that is the job of Mayavadis. Always doing some word jugglery, adding something to a word mentioned in the scriptures and take out a different meaning out of it. So Mahaprabhu, he accepted sannyas from Bharati Sampradaya, which was not a very, very high class of Sampradaya. Why he did that? He could have taken sannyas from a higher order of sannyas, right? There was a reason. Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Bharati Sampradaya because he wanted to prove to the world that a sannyasi is not dependent on any external Vedanti knowledge. Advancement of sannyas depends on the spiritual knowledge of the person. There is no other way one should judge a sannyasi. And then Prabhupada writes, so these Mayavadi sannyasis, they are known as Vedantis. That means they know the Vedanta. What type of Vedanta they know? Vedesha sarvair hameva vedyo. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of Vedanta is to know me, and they don't know about Krishna. And then Prabhupada writes that actually all these Mayavadis, they're always puffed up, they're always puffed up. Sometimes they dress gorgeously with a very nice turban and jewelry and nice clothing, and sometimes they would ride on the elephants. One time Prabhupada was in Kumbh Mela, and all the devotees from west, they had come, and they were seeing all these big mahants from all these akhadas. They were coming on big elephant processions. So they thought, we will also arrange elephant procession for Prabhupada. And they told this to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, you can bring elephant, and we will put Radha Krishna on the elephant, and we will walk in front. That is a devotee. Nothing for me, everything for Krishna. So all these Mayavadis, they are always absorbed in their own prestige, own sense gratification. Externally, they may not be very attached. They may be very detached sannyasis. But internally, they are most attached because they have the greatest aspiration to become God. That is their aspiration. And then Prabhupada writes, so they call themselves as Jagat Guru. But who is a Jagat Guru? Jagat Guru means one who has controlled his tongue, mind, belly, genitals. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udara upastha vegam. Etan vegan yo vishehet dhiraha sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. What type of these sannyasis are these Mayavadis? They are doing everything for their own personal sense gratification. आपने प्रकाशानंद हाते ते धरिया बसाइला sabha madhye sammana koriya. So he caught hold of the hand of Mahaprabhu and very respectfully he brought him and he gave him a seat in midst of them. Sammana kariya, he gave him all the respect. So this is to be noticed, even if somebody does some favor to a devotee, for that matter, even if we give prasad to an outsider, to a non-devotee, and he appreciates the taste of prasad without even knowing that this is prasad. Some people say, अरे वो ISKCON वाले खाना अच्छा खिलाते हैं, वहां पे खाना अच्छा मिलता है और वो वहां पे डांस बहुत अच्छा होता है, वहां पे भजन अच्छा होता है, मजा आता है. What is this? This is agyata sukriti. So therefore, we should try to give all the people agyata sukriti. They may not be knowing, but they are coming close to Krishna. Just by distributing prasad, just by giving good experience to people, if they are appreciating any of the aspect of Krishna consciousness, that is the greatest welfare activity. That is called agyata sukriti. And that is the role of every devotee connected to Krishna consciousness. To make people favorable to Krishna. Let them appreciate any of the aspect of Krishna consciousness. Oh, these people, ISKCON temple, they are very clean, you know. Oh, they dress the deities very nicely. These are all Agyat Sukriti. So this Prakashananda Saraswati, he got Agyat Sukriti. And then Prakashanand said, I understand that you are from Bharati Sampradaya. So you are also like us. You are a sannyasi, you are glorious. Because you belong to a Shankara Sampradaya. Bharati is one of the part of Shankar Sampradaya. But the problem is, we have been noticing that you are staying in our village Varanasi, but you don't associate with us. You don't come and discuss Vedanta with us, and you even avoid seeing us. May I know the reason? Why do you not associate with us? Prabhupada writes in the purport that this is the behavior of a Madhyam Adhikari. When we are moving around in the world, we should try to come to the level of Madhyam Adhikari. So Madhyam Adhikari has 4 types of activities. Ishvare tad adhineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha yah karoti samadhyama. Prema, he loves the Supreme Lord. Maitri, he makes friends with devotees. Kripa, he shows mercy to the innocent. And Upeksha, he neglects those who are envious. So Prabhupada writes that Mahaprabhu exemplified the behavior of a Madhyam Adhikari. A person may be a pure devotee, a Uttama Adhikari, but when he is in the field preaching, he has to discriminate, because Uttama Adhikari never discriminates. He sees everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. Sarva bhuteshu yah pashyed bhagavad bhavam atmanah yena bhutanya sheshani. So he sees everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. But when he has to preach, a Uttam Adhikari cannot preach, because he thinks everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. Everybody is a potential pure devotee. What is the need of preaching? So, but to preach, he comes to the level of Madhyama Adhikari. And for that, he has to discriminate. So therefore, Prabhupada writes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confirming by his behavior that preacher of Krishna consciousness should not waste his time in discussing all these things with Mayavadis. Therefore, he would avoid them. But when there is opportunity to establish the supremacy of our philosophy, we should come ahead and defeat these Mayavadis. That's how Prabhupada dealt with all these Mayavadis. Personally, he would avoid them. But when needed, he would be very, very strong. So Mayavadis, they tell that, oh, sannyas can be given only to a person born in Brahmanam family. Prabhupada writes that, that's why all these Mayavadi sannyasis, they many times challenge our Krishna consciousness movement. Why you have given sannyas to people who are born in Malecha and Yavana family? But Prabhupada writes in answer to this argument and this, question, challenge. Shastra says that everybody born in Kali Yuga is a Shudra. There is no Brahman in Kali Yuga. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. So where is the question? On the contrary, scriptures tell anyone who takes to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and he has chanted names of the Lord genuinely, he is more than a Brahmana. Aho Batshvapacho Togariyan Yajjihvagre Vartate Nama Tubhyam Te Pustapate Juhvo Shashnurarya Brahmanucharanam Grinanti Yete. So this is a word spoken by Devahuti. In third canto, it comes, Aho bat shwapacha. Even if somebody is born in the family of dog eaters, yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam. But if he is constantly chanting the names of the Lord, jihvagre, on the tip of the tongue of this personality, if holy names of the Lord are always there, Tepu Tapa Tejuhu Shashnurarya, you should understand that he is the best of the Aryas, best of the civilized personality. Brahmanu Churanam Grinanti Yete, and is more qualified than any other Brahmana because he's chanting the names of the Lord. So Brahmana is not by birthright. A person, he should have the qualities of the Brahmana. So Prabhupada writes all that. So this Prakashanand Saraswati, he is telling, oh, you are a sannyasi. And being a sannyasi, why are you indulging in all this chanting and dancing, which is meant for foolish people? Why are you engaging in this Sankirtan movement? You are living in Varanasi and you are not associating with us. You are associating with some people who are fanatics. That's how Mayavadis, they, generally they tell about the devotees. Oh, these are all sentimental people. They don't know any philosophy. They are just chanting and dancing. Prabhupada quotes Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and he writes in his Anubhashya commentary that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has very kindly determined who is the appropriate candidate for studying Vedanta. Mayavadis, they think that we are only qualified to study Vedanta. Prabhupada makes it very clear. The first qualification of a person to study Vedanta is he should be humble than a blade of grass. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That is the qualification of a devotee to study Vedanta. Otherwise, if somebody becomes proud of his study of scriptures, oh, I know all the verses. I have done Bhakti Shastri, I have done Bhakti Vaibhav. Oh, this person, he does not know even first verse of Bhagavad Gita. Just see how, fallen he is. All his knowledge is waste. That's what Balaramji, he tells. Risher Bhagavato Bhutva Shishyo Adhitya Bahuni Cha Se Itihasa Puranani Dharma Shastrani Chanyuta Dharmashastrani sarvasha adantasya avinitasya vritha panditamaninaha na gunaya bhavanti sma natasyeva jitatmanaha. So when he comes in the assembly of Roma, all the sages, Romaharshan Sutta, he is giving a talk. He does not get up. Balramji can sense the pride and arrogance in Romaharshan. He was thinking that I am the speaker of Bhagavatam. Why should I get up? He forgot to, realize, to understand that, oh, this personality is the Supreme Lord. So Balramji tells, oh, he is thinking himself to be the great scholar, although he is the disciple of the great Vyasadeva. He is learned in all the scriptures, but he is Adanta. He is not sense controlled. Avinitasya, he is not humble. Nagunaya bhavanti sma, all these other qualities, they are of no use. Natasyeva jitat, he is just acting like a dramatic actor. So who can study Vedanta? Only a person who is humble, he can study Vedanta. So when we are studying scriptures, we should be very, very humble. By studying the scriptures, we realize that we cannot understand Krishna. And the more one becomes learned, the more he should become humble. Vidya vinayena shobhate, famous Subhashit. A person who is knowledgeable naturally becomes humble. But all these Mayavadis, they were proud of their knowledge. Vedant Pathan Dhyan Sanyasira Dharma Taha Chadi Kara Kene Bhavu Kera Karma. So he says, Are Sanyasira Dharma, the dharma of a sannyasi is Vedant part and meditation. You study the Vedanta and you do meditation. That is the job of a sannyasi. Taha chadi kara kene bhavukera karma. Why are you engaging in this sentimental activity? You are associating with sentimentalists, you are associating with fanatics, and you are acting in a fanatical way. Prabhupada writes, actually Mayavadis, they never approve of chanting and dancing. They always think, oh, these are some, low class sentimental people. Therefore, Sarvam Prakashanand Saraswati was thinking, oh, he's a misled young sannyasi, I'll teach him. And then he says, very interesting. He says, actually, seeing your effulgence, I think you are Narayan yourself. Prabhava dekhiye toma sakshat Narayan. Oh, you are sakshat Narayan. Seeing your effulgence, I can understand that you are sakshat Narayan. Hina chara karakene itheki karane. Why are you behaving in such, abominable way? You are behaving like a low class person. Why are you doing that? Just associate with us. Prabhupada writes that although these Mayavadis, they don't know the conclusion of the scriptures, but because they are very renounced, they are austere, they study Vedanta, they are doing meditation, they are following the regulative principles strictly. So they have some pious credits. And a person who is living life in the mode of goodness, he can, see some things, he can see external things. So Prakashanand Saraswati, because of his piety, could understand that this personality, Sri Caitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, is not an ordinary personality. Generally, this Mayavadis, they address each other as Narayan. Whenever they meet other Mayavadi, they call Om Namo Narayana. They tell that, oh, we are already Narayan. It is just time is separating, By doing all this meditation, we will become Narayan. But then this Prakashan, this is actually you are already Narayan. You have already reached that stage. I can see by seeing your effulgence. So therefore, why are you behaving in this way? It doesn't befit you. So till the time Mahaprabhu was silent, and now he speaks. Prabhu kahe shun Shripad ihar karan Guru more murkh dekhi korila shashan. Now very, very powerful verses are coming. And Srila Prabhupada writes elaborate purports on these verses. So Mahaprabhu is giving very, very wonderful philosophy, which all the sadhakas should, imbibe. Prabhu kahe shun Shripad, O Shripad Prakashananda Saraswati, please hear the reason of my behavior. Guru more murkha dekhi korila shashan. My spiritual master, he considered me a fool and therefore he chastised me. So Prabhupada writes that, just see, Lord Chaitanya, who is a supreme personality, from whom all the Vedas are coming, who is the source of all the knowledge, he is presenting himself as fool number one. Why? In order to indicate that in Kali Yuga, everyone is a fool. Prayan alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrita. And therefore, one cannot achieve perfection by reading Vedanta. Not possible. Therefore, Shastra say Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyatha. This verse will come. But Prabhupada is quoting this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, oh, my spiritual master He found me foolish. Guru more murkha dekhi karila sashan. Therefore he chastised me. So in one of the classes, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was telling that when we are in front of spiritual master, we should think we are the fool number one. Sometimes Maharaj was telling that sometimes we feel that we are fool, but we think that we are not fool number one. This other devotee, he is fool number one. I am fool number two. So that is sometimes our thought. But we should, in front of spiritual master, we should think ourselves as fool number one. Guru more murkha dekhi karila sashan. मूर्ख तुम्ही ना तुम्हारा नाही का वेदांत अधिकार कृष्ण मंत्र जप सदा एई मंत्र सार. So he says, मूर्ख तुम्ही. My spiritual master has told me that you are fool. You are not qualified to study Vedanta. तुम्हारा नहीं का वेदांत अधिकार. You cannot study Vedanta. So what you should do? Krishna mantra japa sada. Just chant the holy names of the Lord Krishna. And this is the essence of all the scriptures. Prabhupada, he quotes from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is telling in his Anubhashya commentary, one becomes successful if he acts according to the instructions of the spiritual master. Spiritual master who is giving instructions in the parampara, that is called a Shrauta Vakya. Shrauta Vakya means that which is heard in parampara. So when we hear and follow the instructions of bona fide spiritual masters, then we can achieve perfection. Although Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord, he does not need any guru. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever great people do, common people follow. Yadi hyam na varteyam jatu karmanya tandrita mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. If I will not follow the rules and regulations, people will follow me and they'll be ruined. So Mahaprabhu, who is a Supreme Lord, just to set right standards, he also heard and followed the instructions of his spiritual master to teach everyone that the disciple should strictly follow. You should never ever deviate. And then Prabhupada writes, a spiritual master, he knows how to engage his disciples nicely. But if disciple thinks that I am more advanced than my spiritual master, or what can he tell? He doesn't know anything. At that moment, only the spiritual advancement is stopped. You can see the case of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself. He was a young man, Bimala Prasad. He was known everywhere for his scholarliness. He had written a book, Surya Siddhanta commentary. Everyone knew that he is a wonderful scholar. And his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sent him to take initiation from Gaur Kishordas Babaji, who was an illiterate. So he didn't think, oh, I am such a learned scholar and why my father is sending me to this illiterate person. He humbly went and submitted himself to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and he pleaded with him, please give me initiation. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he said, oh, I am an illiterate man. How can I give you initiation? You are such a learned scholar. And he rejected it. Saraswati Thakur, Vimal Prasad, he went many times. He was eager. That is the humility of a person. One never thinks that he is a learned scholar, even if the guru is illiterate. Because Saraswati Thakur, he would tell later that sometimes somebody would ask him that Prabhupada, you are such a learned scholar. You are preaching everywhere. You are transforming lots of people. But your guru, Gaur Prabhuji, he is just sitting at one place. So how to understand this? So Saraswati Thakur, he gave an example. He said, they were going on a boat. And he said, can you look at that motor? That motor is just at one place. But because of that motor, this entire boat is getting power. So my spiritual master is like that motor, giving me all the power. That's why I'm able to do such wonderful things. So disciple should never think that he is very, very advanced. Prabhupada writes, a disciple should always think himself as a fool in front of his spiritual master. He should never think I am an advanced devotee. And then Prabhupada writes, the actual follower of Vedanta is the devotee of Lord Vishnu. But these Mayavadis, they have no understanding of Vishnu. And therefore, they even criticize the devotees. So Mayavadis, they call that everything is one, but they make a mistake. They tell holy name of Krishna is non-different than Krishna. All their philosophy is monism, everything is one, but they differentiate. They tell, oh no, holy name of Krishna and Krishna are non-different, or they are different. That's why they are considered as fool. But a chanter of the holy name, anybody who is chanting the names of the Lord, they are most advanced. They are more advanced than Vedantists. A devotee of the Lord is the most evolved personality. Brahmananam sahasrebhya satrayaji vishishyate. Satrayaji sahasrebhya sarva vedanta paraga. Sarva vedanta vitkotya Vishnu bhakto vishishyate. Vaishnavanam sahasrebhya ekantyeko vishishyate. Brahmananam sahasrebhya, out of thousands of brahmanas, one who can do the sacrifice, satrayaji vishishyate, he is the best. Satrayaji sahasrebhya sarva vedanta paraga. Out of thousands of those who can do sacrifice, one who can study Vedanta, who knows the Vedanta, he is the best. And Vaishnavanam satrayaji vishishyate, satrayaji sahasrebhya sarva vedanta parga, sarva vedanta vitkotya Vishnu bhakta vishishyate. Out of thousands of those who know Vedanta, a devotee of Vishnu is the best. Vaishnavanam sahasrebhya ekantyeko vishishyate. Out of thousands of devotees of Lord Vishnu, only few know him as Krishna. So a devotee of Lord is the most elevated personality. And then Prabhupada clarifies. Immediately Prabhupada clarifies. Prabhupada never leaves any chance for speculation. Just see the expertise of Prabhupada. Immediately after telling, oh, what is the use of studying all this philosophy? Immediately Prabhupada writes, sometimes taking advantage of these verses, some sahajiyas, they tell, oh, what is the use of studying all this Vedanta? We are happy chanting and dancing. That should not be the case. A real Vaishnava should study the Vedanta. He should know the philosophy very well. But if after study Vedanta, if somebody is not coming up to the stage of chanting the holy names of the Lord, then he is no better than a Mayavadi. So devotee should study the philosophy, the Ishvara Gyan. We should try to acquire more and more Ishvara Gyan. That is why we are studying Bhagavatam. That's why we hear Bhagavad Gita. We are hearing, discussing Caitanya Caritāmrta. Why? To discuss, to get more of Ishvara Gyan. But all these philosophies should make us more and more interested in chanting. And then Prabhupada writes, cheap Vaishnavas, they do not care to study. Oh, we are happy dancing. So we should study the Vedanta and we should chant also. So that's how Prabhupada writes it. And then Mahaprabhu continues. He said, my spiritual master, he said, Krishna mantra haite have samsara mochan, Krishna mantra haite pabe Krishnera charan. When you chant this mantra, what will happen? You will be delivered from this material existence. Habe samsara mochan. And Krishna nam haite pabe Krishnera charan. When you chant the names of Krishna, you will attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Only by chanting, only by serving, one can attain Krishna and one can come out of the clutches of Maya. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Only by surrendering unto Krishna. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that there are 3 stages of advancement: Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. So if one follows the rules and regulations strictly, then one can gradually reach to the ultimate level of Prayojan. Sambandha means developing our relationship with Krishna. Abhidheya means the process to know Krishna, to develop our relationship. First is to know Krishna, to develop that Sambandha relationship. What is the way? That is Abhidheya. And Prayojan means the ultimate understanding of Prema. Prabhupada writes a very, very nice line. He says, a person who is addicted to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra very easily gets the opportunity to serve the Supreme Lord directly. A person who is addicted. So that's what we have to become. We have to become addicted to chanting of the holy names, so much so that we don't stop chanting. It should go on always. That is our goal. But if we are not attentive while we are doing our 16 rounds, then we can't expect that we'll be attentive. The mantra will go on when we are not chanting. So it is all practice. So the more we become addicted, the more we'll be able to serve Krishna directly. And therefore, Prabhupada writes that Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he presented himself as a grand fool, but he never deviated from the principles. Because his guru, he gave him instructions. Vedanta Patha Toma Nahika Adhikar. You can't study Vedanta. That does not mean he forgot all the regulative principles also. He was very strictly following all the regulative principles. So why Mahaprabhu is doing that? He is presenting himself as fool because that is the position of all the jivas of Kali Yuga. And therefore, Vyasadev, to show mercy to all the living entities, he presented this Bhagavatam. Anartha upashamam sakshat bhakti yogam madhokshaje lokasya ajanato vidvam chakre satvata samhitam. Anartha upashamam, to destroy the anarthas of people in general, bhakti yogam, by the process of devotional service. It is so very easy to destroy the anarthas, but lokasya ajanato, people don't know this. So therefore, Vyasadev, he wrote this Bhagavatam, Chakre Satvata Samhitam. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing by his personal example that by practicing devotional service, one can be free from the anarthas. And then Prabhupada writes, chanting of the holy names should be done offenselessly. And he mentions the 10 offenses. And he says that, we should try our best to chant offenselessly. And then very famous verse comes. नाम विनु कलि काले नहीं यार धर्म सर्व मंत्र सार नाम यही शास्त्र मर्म नाम विनु कलि काले नहीं यार धर्म. There is no other dharma in this age of Kali than chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That is Yuga Dharma. Sarva mantra sar naam. There are so many mantras we know, but the essence of all the mantras is to chant the holy names of the Lord. A Shastra Marma. This is the purport of all the scriptures. Tritayadhyayato Vishnu, Tretayam Yajato Makhai, Dwapare Paricharyayam, Kalauta Dhari Kirtanat. That which was achievable in Satyuga by doing thousands and thousands of years of meditation, by doing big sacrifices in Treta Yuga, by doing elaborate deity worship in Dwapar Yuga, that is available just by chanting the holy names. So therefore, people in Kali Yuga, they are so foolish. They even neglect such simple process of Shraut Parampara. Prabhupada writes, Shraut Parampara. You know, this process which is coming in disciplic succession. People are so foolish. They are prepared to argue. Prabhupada writes, you know, they have no understanding, they have limited knowledge, but they are prepared to argue. You know, people don't know any philosophy, but still they will argue as if they are the most learned scholars. Prabhupada writes that this argumentative attitude is against the Vedic principle. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. One should surrender to a bona fide spiritual master, serve him, and then inquire from him submissively. That is the only way. Otherwise, they will never understand, because Supreme Lord manifests in this world as transcendental sound vibration. Kalikale namavinu kalikale nahiyar dharma. There is no other dharma than chanting. Sarva mantra sar nam ei shastra marma. This is the marma of all the shastras, because this holy name can only purify our gross and subtle body. Our gross anarthas and subtle anarthas can be purified only by chanting. That's the power of the holy names of the Lord. And because these Mayavadis, they don't understand, they discriminate Nam and Nami. They say, oh, holy name is not different, he is different from Krishna. Because of this discrimination, they fall down. Aruhya krichrena param padam tataha patanti adha anadrit yushmadangraya. So that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is presenting his case. So we'll stop here. We'll continue next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.